Hello, welcome. I'm Megan Bruno, and I'm a teacher at Coreworks Fitness in Fulton, Maryland. And I'm a fully certified Pilates instructor. I've been teaching at Coreworks for several years now, and I'm thrilled that you've come to join us in one of our virtual classes. I'm going to work today with the ball. I have a inflatable ball that's slightly deflated. At home, if you have a small child's ball, that will work. There's also a link in the notes where you can purchase a ball if you want one in the future. I will cue to, if you don't have a ball, you can still participate in the class and you will still get plenty out of the class. Whenever we do Pilates, you want to be mindful of how you're feeling. So if I am doing something that is uncomfortable, please pause and either go back to an easier version or just wait until we move on to the next exercise and see how you feel. We're going to work a lot today with movement of the spine, working on lengthening and some flexibility of the spine. So let's get started. Grab onto your ball and just place it onto your lap. You can place your hands right on top. If it's comfortable, sit crisscross and just relax your shoulders down. If you want to close your eyes here, you can. We just want to get centered with our breath a little bit. Nice deep inhale through the nose, crown of the head lifts up tall. Exhale, gently sigh through the mouth and feel your shoulders relax down the back. Inhaling, get length through the spine, so find space between the vertebra of the spine, and as you exhale, feel the knees drop a little bit closer to the mat and the shoulders relax down. So a nice centering breath is a good way to start our practice today. And we'll do one more breath like this. Go ahead and take your ball and just bring it right to the center of your sternum and have your hands right on top of the ball. You're going to feel your sits bones gently rooted into the floor here. So we're using the abdominals to lift ourselves up, but we're letting ourselves be heavy into the floor. On your inhale, you're going to gently rotate to your right. Feel that right rib pulling back, shoulders stay easy. And back to center. Inhale to the left. Exhale, back to the center. One more on each side. Using that inhale to encourage a little twist, keeping your nose in line with the ball. Shoulders are not rotating past the ribs. So think of the hips staying still, shoulders and ribs just rotating along to the left side and back to center. Take that ball in your right hand and just put it to the outside of your right thigh. Left arm up towards the ceiling. And then inhale as you side bend, pulling the right ribs in towards the body. Find some length along this left side body. Right shoulder gently drawn away from the ear. And you can hold here for a moment. See what happens with your left knee. Is it lifting up? Can you relax it down? And then come back into center. And we'll switch to the other side. Right arm up towards the ceiling. Anchor those sits bones. And then inhale into your side bend. Head stays right along the right arm. And then come back into the center. Grab that ball with both hands again. Lift the ball up towards the ceiling and then extend back. So you're sending your heart forward and then your head back. Easy shoulders here. Exhale, draw the ribs to the hips, round the spine as you reach the ball forward. So you're scooping the belly, pulling the hips back, pulling the ribs in. And inhale, lift, open the chest. Nice big stretch here. And then exhale, going back in. And then come back to center. Let's take the ball. And I'd like you to put it just at the small of the back, or right where your body meets your mat. So you're not shoving it under there, you're just gonna have it lightly there. It may roll a little bit, that's fine. Feet are gonna be flat, knees are bent, and you're gonna hold on behind your knees. So I'd like you to lift up nice and tall, feeling the ribs pull up and off the hips. And then as you exhale, round back so that you're tipping back over the pelvis back a little bit. So you feel that small of your back pushing into the ball. And then lift back up. So if the ball rolled away a little bit, just fix it. We're using that ball just to get a little bit of feedback. And once you feel the low back into the ball, you can scoop that belly a little bit more, see if you could find a little more length in your low back. And lift up tall. Let's do 2 more like that. Exhaling back. Feel the ribs connect to the hips. And lifting tall. Last one. And lift. Go ahead and take the ball in your hands. Arms out in front. We're going to take this roll all the way down. Tuck back, slowly lowering down. Squeeze into the ball a little bit. See if that helps you lower all the way down, 1 vertebra at a time, laying all the way down on your mat. So once you're laying down, bring your feet in a little bit closer to the body. So you want to be about 6 or so inches away from the sits bones. And we're going to lift up the hips, place the ball right underneath the hips. So if you feel like you're really popping up here, your ball might be a little too inflated. This is where we want to have a little give of the ball. Start by taking a nice inhale, breathing in through the nose. Exhale, tip the hips back, but keep them weighted on the ball. So you're going to feel like the ball is rolling towards the heels. And then inhale, as you tip the hips over the ball will feel like it's pulling towards the back body. So we're rocking the hips back and forth on the ball, trying to keep them weighted the whole time. Now when you arch the back, see if you can keep those ribs drawn in. When you tuck back, you might feel this nice stretch across the front of the thigh. Just warming up the spine a little bit more here. And we'll do 1 more back and forth, using the breath to contract the abdominals, to pull the hips back, relaxing through the shoulders. Next time you come into that tuck, so hips tipping back towards the ribs, hold there. Push a little deeper into the ball. Can you increase that stretch in the front of the legs? Can you pull the hips back a little more? Think of the pubic bone reaching to the ceiling. On your next exhale, we're going to articulate the spine up. So engage through the feet, engage through the glutes, lift up. You're floating just over the ball. And then tuck the hips back, roll back down onto the ball. If you need to reposition at any time, that's fine. Release into a neutral spine. So hips are heavy, you're engaged through your belly and your back. Exhale, tip the hips back, peel up and off that ball again. And lower back down. Releasing to neutral. One last one here. Being mindful that your knees are staying even. You're keeping them in line with your hips. They're not going out to the sides or knocking together. And lower down. Once you're all the way down, just take a moment, rock side to side on the ball, get a little release through the hips. You can make little circles here if that feels good for you. And then we're going to just lift our hips up, remove the ball, and then place the ball between your knees. You may have to bring your feet a little bit closer together. I want you to be able to squeeze into the ball and have some nice resistance. Check in with your shoulders and your neck. Make sure you're relaxed. Backs of the shoulders are reaching towards the mat. Keeping the feet on the floor, I want you to squeeze, release into the ball. Squeeze, release. Think of those inner thighs pulling in towards the pelvic floor, using those small inner thigh muscles. Checking in with your neutral spine. You have a little space between the small of the back and the mat. And we'll do 2 more. Squeeze, release. Squeeze, release. Hold a gentle squeeze of the ball. Keep your spine neutral. Exhale, press up into a neutral bridge. Lengthening away, knees away from shoulders. Think of your knees trying to reach over your toes so you're getting as long as you can. And then squeeze, release here. Pulling those inner thighs together, a little more work through the glutes here to support the hips lifted. You're nice and anchored through the shoulders. 2 more. And then lengthen down. So reach the tailbone towards the heels as you lower down. Try to get the hips to land evenly and in one piece. Walk the feet a teeny bit closer to the body. Inhale. Exhale, press up into that neutral bridge again. And now we're going to lift and lower the heels. Lifting up, lowering down. Both heels at the same time. Keeping a gentle tuck of the hips back so that you don't get extension through the low back. Next time we lift the toes, or lift the heels, we're going to stay there. You may have to pull in a little bit more. We're going to try to balance here. So we want to keep the hips even. You're going to squeeze into the ball and then extend the right leg out and bring it back down. Extend the left leg out. Bring it back down. Can you keep those hips from shifting as you switch legs? You might put your hands on your hips to feel some feedback here. Does one hip dip down? Can you keep your waist long? And let's do one more on each side. Both feet down, lower the heels down, and then lower the spine down. Remove the ball for a moment. Bring your feet about as wide as the mat here, and then just rock the knees from side to side, coming into a little rotation. Just letting everything release. All right, let's come back into the center. We're going to stay on our backs for another minute, and I'd like you to take your ball and tuck it behind your knee. We'll start on the right side, and in order to hold on to the ball, you have to pull the heel towards the butt, so you're not going to be quite at a right angle here. Release the knee forward a little bit so it's over the hip, and pull that heel towards the butt, so keep that engagement. Arms are going to be open a little bit wider than your mat here. Shoulders relax down, keep the left foot pressing into the mat, open the right leg to the right side. So knee reaches down towards that right hand and back in. Now this range of motion is going to be determined by the stability of your hips. So if you open that right knee too far and your left hip starts to lift, just dial it back a little bit. Don't go so far out to the side. And let's do one more. And back to center. We'll remove the ball and we'll place it under the opposite knee. So pull the heel towards the body, anchor the right leg, relax the arms, and then open and close. Trying to keep the knee as close to aligned with the hip as you can. You'll notice the range of motion might be different on one side versus the other, just natural imbalances. So we try to do same exercise on each side so we can get ourselves nice and even and balanced. Last one. And come back to center. Let's remove that ball again. Let's come into a nice stretch before we change positions. You're going to hold onto that right knee, pull it into the body, extend the left leg. And then you can slide your hand so it's underneath your knee or behind the knee, and then stretch your leg up. You can bend and straighten here. If that feels good, if you'd prefer, just hold the leg straight, gently pulling back, stretching through your hamstring. And then bend the knee, bring the foot down. We'll bring the left knee in first, then extend the right leg, reaching the right toes away from the left knee. And then slide your hands behind the knee, straighten and bend. And then hold for a hamstring stretch. And then come all the way back down. And let's carefully help ourselves to sitting. And we're going to stay facing the same direction here. And I would like you to grab onto your ball. So we're going to bring the legs a little bit wider than hip distance, so about the width of your mat. And Let's start with the arms out in front, shoulders relaxed down, gently squeezing the ball. So as soon as you start to squeeze the ball, you should feel some activation across the chest and across the in the front of the arms. We're going into our spine stretch here. Lifting up tall, keeping the hips and the pelvis stacked, just moving through the upper back. Deep inhale, exhale, head comes down. Start reaching forward through the rib cage. Front ribs pull in to the back of the body. And then as you exhale, restack. Belly pulls back. You should feel a nice stretch through the mid and upper back. Inhale. Exhale. Reaching forward like your head is magnetized towards the ball. And lift back up. Good. We're going to add on to this next one. Nice deep inhale to start. Exhale as you come forward. Now I would like you to go ahead and flex at the hips here. So now you're going to reach forward as much as you can. Using the belly, can you sense restacking the hips over the pelvis first, and then ribs over hips, shoulders over ribs, head over shoulders. One more like that. Inhale. And exhale. Head, ribs, mid-back, low back, hips, reaching forward. Feel the stretch in the legs and the low back. Exhale, restack. And lift all the way up. Good, let's take a moment to release the shoulders. You can let the ball go down on the floor, and just some nice shoulder rolls here. Forward and back. All right, let's grab onto the ball. Again, we're going to add on to this again. So we've done some spinal flexion, so moving forward, we want to work some extension in here. Arms are reaching forward. We're going to go into that full move. Inhale first. Exhale, head, ribs, hips, reach as far forward as you can. Now start to open the chest and come into a hinged position. So now the arms are about on either side of the ears. You're really hinging far forward. Back is as straight as you can get it. Draw the belly in, round back down, and then restack all the way up. Lifting up tall. Maybe you feel an inch taller after doing that one. Inhale first. Exhale, reach forward. Rounding first, always supporting the low back with a pull of the belly back towards the spine. Open the chest, lift up. Find that flat back position. See if you can hinge down a little bit more deeply. And then round and restack all the way up. All right. Take the ball in the right hand, arms out to the side, nice wide wingspan, so reaching those shoulder blades away from each other. Rotate to your left. Left hand is going to be facing to the outside of the mat. You're going to reach down, ball presses down to the outside of the left knee, or the left ankle, excuse me, and then reach. Anchor that right hip and sits bone. Little pulses here, enjoying that stretch. And then lift back up and come back to center. Let's switch sides. Ball into the left hand, arms out, rotate, reach forward. You're putting a gentle pressure down onto that ball as you reach, looking over that right shoulder. Little pulses here, pulling the ribs in. And then let's come all the way back up. And back to center. All right, nice work. Let's go ahead and bring the feet down again. And you're going to take the ball behind your right knee. We are going to put pressure into the wrists here. So if that's bothersome for you, you can go down onto your forearms. Couple options with your hands. You can either have your fingertips facing towards your hips, or you can be externally rotated, have your arms a little wider and back behind you. What you're looking for is keeping these shoulders back. So this is a little challenging for me to have my hands here. It makes my shoulders roll forward. So I'm going to choose this version, and I'm concentrating on opening my chest, keeping my spine neutral. And I'm going to start with just a nice lift and extension of the hips, coming into a tabletop position with the body, and back down. So my spinal position shouldn't change. I'm just floating up and back down. One more like this. And back down. So you can stick with that, or we're going to work with the leg here and bring the leg up with us. So shoulders back, spine is nice and long. You're keeping the distance between your chin and your chest the same as we lift up. So nice deep inhale and lift, bring that right leg with you, and then back down. We'll do 2 more on this side. Just being mindful that you're not throwing your head back behind you. You want to just kind of be gazing right over towards the ceiling. I'd rather you be looking a little bit more over the knee than way out behind you. I think that was more than 3. So let's come all the way down and we'll switch to the other side. So a gentle squeeze into the ball. Reset those shoulders. Experiment with your arm position if you'd like. And then we'll press up, lift the leg, knee over hip, and back down. And lift, and down. All right, we better do 1 more just to make it even. And back down, beautiful. Go ahead and come forward, extend the legs out, take your hands so the fingertips are pointing behind you, and just gently press down, releasing the wrists a little bit here. It's one way to get a nice wrist stretch. You can also make fists and do little circles here if that feels good. Okay, so we're going to use the ball to get into a little more abdominal work. So I'd like you to take the ball just about 6 or so inches behind you, and you're going to lay down onto the ball. I'd like it to be at about the base of the rib cage, so about mid-back. In this position, your knees are going to be bent, feet will be flat, and we're going to hold on to our heads here. So let the weight of the head release into the hands, elbows are open wide. I want you to start with a nice curl up. Now, as you curl, feel those back ribs pushing into the ball. So front ribs pulling in, back ribs pushing into the ball. This should feel like a good amount of abdominal work. So you feel this contraction of the abdominals. Hold that contraction as you extend over the ball. So rather than just releasing back, which we will do in a minute, we want to work our way back. Inhale, and then exhale, pulling forward. So we're working in both directions here. Reaching back, concentrating on keeping those abdominals engaged. Only go as far as you can hold that engagement, and then exhale back up. 2 more here. Position of the hips shouldn't change. You feel nice and heavy on the back of the hips. And forward. Good. This time, release those abdominals, release all the way back. If it's okay for you, let the head come down onto the mat. Let the ribs flare up. Let yourself come into a little bit of an arch and stretch those abs. One more nice deep breath. And then let the elbows lift about the height of the ears, re-engage through your abdominals, and curl back up. All right, so we're going to start in this nice curl position. So deeply curling, release back just about halfway. Now as you curl up, bring that right knee as if it's coming towards your right shoulder, and then release back down. Alternating sides here. So we're using the upper abdominals to pull the ribs down towards the hips, lower abdominals to help that knee and the leg pull in. Finishing on the left side. And then release all the way over that ball again. Another deep breath. And then engage through the elbows up towards the ears and curl back up. All right, one more in this position. So from here, we're going to add a little oblique work. So we're going to start in the middle, and then we're going to rotate to the right. So before we start moving too much more than this, Feel those right ribs pushing into the ball, and then we're going to curl, release. Smaller move here, being mindful you're not pulling on your head. You're sinking these ribs down, pulling the left rib towards the left hip, or towards the right hip, and keeping those elbows nice and wide. One more here. And come back into center. Rotate to the left. Rotation, keep the hips heavy and pulsing up towards your left hip. Watching that the knees aren't swaying off to the side. This is work through the abdominals, not rotation through the hips. 2 more. And into the center and release all the way back. Woo. Okay, got me sweating on that one. So breathe into the belly. Let the ribs expand a little bit here. And then we're going to just carefully support ourselves to come all the way up. Moving the ball out of the way, we're going to come into an all fours position here. Again, if wrists are an issue, you can do most of this on all fours, or just do a couple and then take a break on the wrists. So let's find our all fours position before we start to use the ball. Knees are underneath the hips. Hands are underneath the shoulders. Sits bones are wide, belly is pulled in. So if I were to flip you over on your back, you still would have that little space at the small of your back. Rest of the spine would be nice and straight. Exhale, round the spine, coming into a nice cat-cow stretch here, looking towards the belly. Inhale as you extend sits bones towards the ceiling, chest forward. And just one more like that, further stretching those abdominals a little bit from all that work. And come back into center. Okay, so we're going to work through the hips and the glutes a little bit here. I want you to take the ball behind the right knee again. Keep your shoulder blades wide. So whenever we lift up our legs, we're going to require a little more stability through the shoulders. So this will be a lot of work through the upper body too. Lifting shoulders or chest up, shoulders are wide. All right, let's take that right leg and lift and lower. Lift and lower. Now, just like when we were sitting, we have to keep the heel pulled towards the butt in order to hold the ball here. If it pops out, don't worry about it, just get it back in there. Working to pull the hamstring towards the glute to get that work through the glutes. All right, next one, we're gonna lift and hold. Pull the heel closer to the butt. Pull, release. So you're trying to squeeze that ball. See if you can pop the ball. Squeeze, release, squeeze, release. 2 more. Let the knee come back down just so it's hovering over the mat, and then we're going to open and close. So the trick here is keeping the hips even. We're not opening the hip, we're just abducting the leg. Feeling this on the side of the leg and into the glute. And one last one. Back to center. Let the knee come down, take a breath here, and then we're going to just add on one more exercise through the hip here. So you're going to lift the leg up, cross it behind the left knee, so as close to the floor as you can get it without letting that left hip swing out to the side, and then pull the right knee towards the right elbow. So you're reaching back, almost making the shape of a rainbow here. Pulling in, reaching back. Pulling in, reaching back. If you want to get a little tricky, as you come forward, come into a little push-up, and then press and reach across. We'll just do 3 of these. Knee to elbow, let the chest come down. And then go ahead and let the knee come down. Keep the ball behind this right knee. Extend your left leg back so the toes are curled under here. And we're going to start with lifting that left leg. One little lift, toe comes down, lift the right knee. Knee comes down, lift the left foot. And switch. So a little more work in the shoulders here. Keep those shoulders nice and wide. And one last one. Beautiful. Come all the way down, both knees down. Put the ball aside. Let your knees come nice and wide, and then sit back down into a nice child's pose here. Let the forehead rest on the mat. Release those armpits down towards the floor. And then we'll come back up and we'll work on the other side. So let's take the ball behind the left knee. Take a minute to find your alignment. So don't rush from one side to the other. If we start out of alignment, that's how we get hurt. So slow things down a little bit. Check shoulders over wrists, knees over hips. Shoulder blades are wide. All right, so pull the heel a little bit towards the butt to hold onto that ball, and we'll start with our lift and lower. Think about your neck for a minute. You have your gaze just in front of the fingertips. If you think about no wrinkles in the back of your neck, it's a nice way to make sure you have the right alignment of the head and the neck. Hold the leg lifted, squeeze, release. Pulling the heel towards the body. Last one. Bring the knee down so it's just hovering over the mat, and we'll abduct, open to the side and down. Check in with your shoulders. Do you have more weight on that left shoulder than the right? Can you even things out a little bit here? Last one. Now we'll lift back, cross over the right leg, and then pull the knee towards the elbow. Back and pull. Keep that heel towards the butt. Don't lose the ball. And then we'll add on our push-up if you would like. So forward, knee to elbow, and back up, reaching across. Last one. And back to center. All right, so reposition the ball if it's sliding. I'm saying that because mine's sliding. So from here, we're gonna take that right leg back. Toes are curled under. Get that nice long line. Start with lifting that right leg, lowering. Come into a little plank, lift the knee and lower. And last one. And lower. Great job. Bring both knees in, remove the ball, sit back down into that child's pose here, allowing for some deep belly breaths. If it feels more comfortable to bring the arms along the side of the body, palms facing up, go ahead and do that. And then let's come all the way back up. You're going to hold onto your ball, and we're going to come into a nice tall kneeling position, just facing towards the screen. So from this position, you're going to have the ball out in front. All of this can be done without the ball if it's uncomfortable. So let's start by pulling the belly up and in. Think of that tailbone weighted down to behind the knees. Lift the arms up towards the ceiling. You're going to send the arms to the right as you side bend. Send your hips to the left. Sit as low down as you can, and then lift back up. Nice side stretch, switching back and forth, side to side. Getting as low as you can. And come all the way back up and hold. Arms out in front. We're going to go into some thigh stretch here. You can either have your feet flat. If that bothers your feet and you get cramps, you can have your toes curled under. Either way is fine. Arms are out in front. You have a little hold of the ball, so you're squeezing in, getting that activation across the chest again. And then inhale, we lean back, working through the legs. Exhale, pulling forward. Think about leading with the backs of the shoulders on the way back so the hips don't break. Lead with the hips on the way forward. 2 more. Last one. And come forward, beautiful. Let's go ahead and lay down on our sides. You're going to take the ball and place it down at the end of the mat and put your lower leg right on top of the ball. Stack the legs. If you're okay being on your forearm, go ahead and be there. I want elbow underneath the shoulder. Hips are fully stacked here, and you're making a nice long line. We're going to start with pulling the rib in so that you are working through the side waist here. Push down with that bottom leg, lift and lower the top leg. So as you lift that top leg, you're reaching the leg away from you so that you can keep the waist even as possible on both sides. 2 more here. And come all the way back down. You're going to position the ball so it's right between the ankles. And for this one, I'd like you to lay all the way down. You're going to rest your head on your arm. Top hand can be in front of you for some balance. So take a minute, make sure the ball is right between the ankles, squeezing into the ball, so working those inner thighs and stacking those hips again. So I'd rather you have the hand down than lose balance here. And now we're going to squeeze into the ball, lift both legs and lower. Lift and lower. Still reaching away, still connecting through those inner thighs. Two more. And then bring the legs all the way down. Let go of the ball. Help yourself up. Before we switch to the other side, we're gonna place both heels on the ball. So again, arm position just like before, either fingertips in or back or on your forearms. Press the toes forward, open through the shoulders, and then as you exhale, lift the hips. Lower down with control, just a little tap and lift and lower. We're going to do 2 more. Let the hips come all the way down on this one. You can let your feet come to either side of the ball and then just stretch yourself forward, getting a nice forward fold. Restack all the way up, and we're going to turn around and lay on the other side. Starting with the ball underneath the bottom leg, and you're up on your forearm. Pulling those ribs in, finding a spot where you can really push down into that bottom ball. All right, or bottom leg. Lift and lower. Pushing that top leg away so you can lengthen through the waist as much as possible. Imagine I'm pulling your leg towards the end of the mat. Check in with the neck here. Make sure you're looking straight forward. If the neck gets tired, you can always turn and look towards your elbow, but you're pulling the head away or the ear away from the shoulder. 2 more. All the way down. Let's go ahead and put the ball between the ankles. Restack the hips if you fell forward or back, and then let's lay all the way down. Use the hand for balance if you need it. Pull the legs together. Feel the belly pull in. Lift and lower. Think of squeezing the ball with your inner thighs rather than your feet. So can you keep the feet flexed as if they're rubbing against a wall here? And you're squeezing the ball together with your inner thighs. Let's just do 1 more. And come all the way down. Go ahead and release the ball. And then grab onto your ball. Let's come to standing. And take a minute. We haven't stood at all in this class yet, so let's find our alignment here. You're going to have your feet right underneath your hips, standing nice and tall, just holding onto the ball in front of you as we take a little cool down here. Draw the belly in, ribs relax down around the spine, shoulders relax. Inhale, lift the arms up towards the ceiling. Exhale, draw the belly in, start to dive forward, taking your time. Feel that belly pull up and in, even as you're hanging all the way down. Once you're down, let's have the ball so it's just off the ground. So if you're flexible enough to get the hands down, I want you to lift a little bit so that the ball can be off the floor. We're going to squeeze, release. As you squeeze the ball, can you feel the belly pulling up towards the spine? Feel yourself creating length through the low back. 2 more like this. And then go ahead and just put the ball aside and let your body hang as low as it can, looking out between the legs so your head is heavy, your neck is lengthening. Gently walk your hands towards the outside of your right foot. Feel that nice stretch from the left rib to the hip. And then walk to the other side. And we'll come back to center. One final breath, allowing yourself to come as low as possible. Gentle bend in the knees, push into the feet, engage the glutes, and gently restack. Ribs over hips, shoulders over ribs, head over the shoulders. Let's give a nice roll of the shoulders back and forward. And then relax the arms. One final breath together. Inhale, arms up towards the ceiling. Look towards the ceiling. Extend. And then relax your arms down in front of your chest. Thank you so much for coming today or for viewing the video. I appreciate it. If you're interested in other classes or virtual classes, go to the coreworks.com link that you'll see in the notes here. Thank you so much.